I've been gaming for a long time. Most of the time I've spent alive on this planet for that matter. And I tend to play just whatever I feel like playing, no matter the genre. From an FPS game like Doom, to a racing game like Midnight Club, to a horror game like Dead Space, to a platformer like BattleBlock. My taste knows no bounds. But there was also one kind of game that I used to play a lot, and it was the online multiplayer games. And when I say that, I mean games like Call of Duty, Halo, Overwatch, games like that. Towards the end of the 2010s and into the early 2020s, these have been the kinds of games that I played the most. Could even go so far to say I was addicted to them at the time. And it all started with this game. This piece of garbage right here. I love this game. Call of Duty Black Ops 2 was my introduction into the online multiplayer space. Or at the very least, it was my earliest one that I could remember. It was also the first Call of Duty game I played during its life cycle, and it's also my favorite alongside 3 other COD games. I remember when Ghost came out, I had a copy of it on PS3, but I just never played it. But then Advanced Warfare came out, and I had it digitally on my PS3, and I was addicted to that. And I remember playing it so much, I remember I would wake up at like 3 in the morning one time, just to get on Gun Game. And everyone had the clown skin on. It was super weird. Black Ops 3 would come around the next year, and I played this like 10 times more. I absolutely adored the multiplayer and the zombies. Then in 2016, Infinite Warfare and Overwatch came out, and I unfortunately caught a case of being an Overwatch player at that time. If that game didn't come out, I absolutely would have played Infinite Warfare more than I did, which was still a lot. But it was not nearly as much as I did with Black Ops 3. But then when World War II came out, I played it like within the first couple weeks, and then I skipped the rest of the year. It launched in a terrible state. It's okay now. Like, it's a tolerable game now. I get why people like it now. But when it first came out, it was atrocious. So I ended up just sticking with Overwatch for 2017. Then there came Black Ops 4, which was the first game I pre-ordered. I wish I learned my lesson. And I wish it didn't take 3 times. But at this time was also when I started playing Overwatch less. And instead, I got into this game you may have heard of called Fortnite. I never really had much of a reason to stop playing Overwatch. A lot of other people will say how Overwatch started to fall from grace or whatever it is that video essayists tend to say. No, I just forgot to log on one day, and then it led to me just avoiding the game because I kept forgetting. I hope my future kids got their shit handled, because that might just happen to them. Also, in 2018 was when I first got into Fortnite, as I just mentioned. Played a few games back in Season 2 of Chapter 1 and thought nothing of it. It was the cool new thing. That was it. Season 5 came around, and I'll never forgive myself for this, but at this time, I sold my PS3, all my PS3 games, because my birthday and Christmas money just wouldn't cut it, and I wanted new games. And I sold all of it. Keep in mind, I had some bangers. I had Need for Speed Carbon. I had Killzone. I think I had the second one. I had Ratchet and Clank. I think I had like all the ones for PS3. I forgot most of what I had, but you see what this shit did to me when I was 13? It melted my brain. All the Call of Duty and Overwatch made me a moron. And some of this money went to Fortnite. I really didn't even get deep into Fortnite, though, till like late of Season 7, because if you did challenges, they would give the Season 8 Battle Pass for free. And that's when it started. From here on out, Fortnite would be my most played game, only rivaled by one other game that I will get to in a second here. But I would play this game almost every day. I would still play other games in between as well, but this game had my attention most of the time, and it led up to an amount of money being spent on this game over time that makes me regret ever looking at this game. Apex Legends was the other game that, according to my Xbox, I played more than Fortnite. When Apex first came out, I would just kind of play off and on each season. But then Season 5 came around for Apex back in 2020. And I remember one of my old friends from middle school, he was my main duo for Apex because no one else I knew even liked this game. I didn't even know he liked this game. Unrelated, but this was also the time I got on Reddit. Everyone has said it, but 2020 was a rough time for all of us. From 2020 till about the end of 2022, I would play these games religiously. Some weeks, I'd play one game more than the other, but these 2 games, and for some reason, Modern Warfare 2019 had my quarantine in a chokehold. There was more games I would play, and of course, more COD games, but eventually, I gave up on Fortnite. I gave up on Apex, and as much as I tried giving the series more chances, I've given up on Call of Duty, though that one is more recent. It's a feeling I've had since the beginning of 2023, but it got to a point where I just stopped caring. I lost interest in the online multiplayer games, and for a while, I couldn't put into words as to why. But I've discussed this with a friend in private, and I think now I fully can. I've grown up and realized that the reason I was playing these games wasn't even for the actual games themselves. And when I say I've grown up, I'm not trying to say that these games aren't for grown-ups. I'm not one of those people. I despise this mindset very much. What I mean is that I couldn't keep pretending that I liked these games. Hell, even when I first started playing, I didn't like either Apex nor Fortnite. The gameplay loop of Battle Royale games was just getting stale for me. I was tired of the one life looting for 15 minutes and 5 minutes of gunplay that each game usually was for me. For Apex, it was helped by the fact that I was also trying to get better by playing ranked, which wasn't a bad experience back then. But if you've ever played Apex, you know how piss poor the ranked system has been. I'm not going to speak on if it's fixed or even a bit better at all. I haven't even touched ranked in like 2 years. But judging by the fact that all I ever see about this game now is only negativity, and I don't even see people defending it like I used to, is kind of insane. I tried Apex a few weeks ago on PC. I wanted to try it out on keyboard and mouse for the first time. And I'll admit it, despite the problems, I was enjoying my time. Way more than I did in my time on Xbox. It felt like I was learning a new game. It brought me back to the times of when I was learning how to play these games and getting better at them. I wasn't very good, but like I was decent, you know? One thing I was really blown away by was how not rude my teammates were. Outside of the one guy in my first game on where the dude just called me a slur and then left. But, you know, that's besides the point. I thought I was in the Twilight Zone because never in my time of playing online games have I ever found so many respectful people, which was a nice change of pace. As much as I loved video game trash talk, I've just grown so desensitized to it. This could very well be its own topic, but it was nice to see. The next game, my teammate kept getting dumped by a presumed cheater. Great job, Respawn. My video on you ages better by the day, I see. But then as quickly as I had gotten back into the game, I dropped it just as quick. Apex was kind of like my League of Legends, you know, how the players who play the game all the damn time would tell you, don't play it, it's terrible. That's how I was with this game. I could never sit here and call it quality, but I had my fun, you know. But I think why I stuck with this game for so long is because this was the closest I'd get to another Titanfall game. If you don't know, I made a video on Titanfall 2. It's one of my favorite games of all time. One of the things I loved about it was the universe, and that's something I really loved Apex for. It's the one multiplayer game where its lore actually interested me because of its connections. I didn't want to let this game go, even after I separated from the people that played this game with me. Even though I really only played this because my old friends played it, I stuck around because this game was kind of like Titanfall, almost, and not really. But I could also find lobbies on it consistently, which was one of the reasons I refused to let it go. The other was the amount of money I blew on this game because I was a dumbass. I know many can relate, but when you play a game so much and then there's stuff you can buy in it, you usually spend a few bucks. I bought a whole collection event. To this day, I really wish I didn't. But when you spend so much money on a game you also have a shit ton of time on, it makes it so much harder to leave the game, which was absolutely my fault. Then here comes Fortnite. I don't know how to really say it, but I guess the cool factor, I guess you could say, of the collabs just faded for me because that was Fortnite's whole appeal for the last couple of years. It still is. And don't get me wrong, it's awesome seeing how many of these characters are now grouped together in a game like this where Eminem can go one-on-one in a build fight against Vegeta, only to get third-partied by Godzilla. On top of that, I really don't enjoy the gameplay of Fortnite. I was never a big third-person shooter fan outside of Uncharted and sometimes Gears, so it will forever confuse me how I wasted so much time on this game. This one, I don't have anything with like how I was with Apex, where this reminded me of something I liked, so I didn't want to leave it. I just played this because everyone told me it was the game to play. It was funny though. I had some of my best and worst memories with this game. But when it came to dropping this game, it was a slow burn. For about 2.5 years, I would grind out every battle pass, and truly, it wasn't healthy. This game in Apex would just make me way angrier than I usually would get, and it just continuously got worse. While I wouldn't say these games fully made my mental health worse, I do like scapegoats. After the season that had the Doomslayer, I basically have not finished or even bought a battle pass since. Outside of the Marvel one that they released that had War Machine in it, I don't even think I made it past level 20. Fortnite OG would come out and my friend convinced me to hop on. I don't know why, because I am an avid Chapter 1 hater outside of the last 3 seasons of that chapter. It's a hot take, but I never vibed with any of the seasons before Season 4. I didn't even play that one, but even then, at least, that had something. It just wasn't fun. Even with the person I liked playing Fortnite with, it couldn't salvage any enjoyment out of me. I couldn't get anything out of this game anymore. I'm not going to say it's bad. Clearly people loved it. It just wasn't for me. Similar thing with Apex as to why it took me a while to stop playing the game again was just how much fucking money I gave away to Epic Games. I own quite a bit of skins, yet I don't even use all of them. What snapped me out of it was probably the embarrassment that none of these skins have any actual value to me. I remember there was people in the community that try to argue that these skins have value, and to this very day, I find that to be one of the funniest and stupidest statements I have ever heard. But yeah, thankfully, I'm freed from the clutches of this game. But then there's Call of Duty. It's sad that it's come to this. I've been a fan of this series for so long. I've been generally more favorable to each release compared to many. Hell, I was one of the few that loved and would defend Infinite Warfare. But this is a franchise I can confidently speak on the actual issues of the game because I, at least up to this point, would still regularly play the game. And it's been no secret how bad things are. But I made the same mistake I made with Modern Warfare 2 back in 2022. I fell into the hype. Black Ops 6 was a game I was excited to play, as sad as that sounds in hindsight, but yeah, I was excited. First Black Ops game since Cold War, a lot of the stuff they were advertising was actually stuff that was interesting and good for the game. At least I thought. I played the beta, and it was the only thing I played that weekend. It was fun. It was one of the best Call of Duty multiplayer experiences I've had in a long time, or at least how it felt for me. Fast forward to the game's released, and I was hooked. 100 hours later, I managed to get the Mastery camo, and then was gonna start the zombie camo grind. I knew it was a severely flawed game, so I thought I could make a video reviewing the game, but I was overall more positive towards this game despite its severe flaws that it has. But then I just lost the motivation to make this video. Hell, I almost didn't even have a video for December of 2024 because this was supposed to be that video and I kind of just lost interest. I didn't want to make the video. I didn't want to talk about the game. I didn't even want to play the game. I think the last time I played this game for more than 10 minutes was around Christmas. And I know zombies has nothing to do with multiplayer, but I was always more of a multiplayer guy, and zombies is kind of just collateral damage, as I really just didn't want to hop on the game anymore. And with what's been happening with Treyarch over these past few months, you can't really blame me for not wanting to give them any more money or keep playing their game. I think it's for the best that I just quit Call of Duty. Just for my sanity, and because there is way more games that I want to play before my time comes. And because it's just too much keeping up with these every single year. With Call of Duty games coming to Game Pass, maybe I'll still try out the campaigns each year. But multiplayer and zombies, I might just straight up avoid because I just don't think I'll get anything out of them. More so multiplayer and zombies, I just probably won't play because maybe I'm not in the mood. Which is sad because I actually really liked Black Ops 6 Zombies. There's many other multiplayer experiences out there besides those three, but those were the ones that I played the most. I've tried the other ones like PUBG. I hate PUBG. I played Hyperscape. Remember Hyperscape? No, you don't. Ubisoft brainwashed you to forget. I liked Knockout City when that came out. Remember Knockout City? No, you don't. It died. X-Defiant was a game I remember a lot of people hyping up like crazy. It was like the COD killer. Yeah, people said Valorant was the Fortnite killer. Do you understand how stupid people are? When it had its official release, I played it. It was okay. I didn't really enjoy it that much. It felt its whole personality was just to be a competitor for COD, and it didn't have much else going on for it outside of that. I did like the idea of taking Ubisoft properties and like fitting them to make some like whatever this game was, that I like that, but that was about all it had for personality. I remember one of the biggest selling points that people kept telling me made this game better than Call of Duty was that there wasn't skill-based matchmaking. And people hyped this up as if this is going to be the future for multiplayer games, and this game's going to do better than Call of Duty because of it. Clearly not. Someone told me to play Valorant. No thanks. Marvel Rivals is the new kid on the block for multiplayer games, and everyone is hyping this game up, and almost every single friend I have and every coworker I have that are into games have been incessantly begging me to hop on this game, and I just don't want to. From the looks of it, it just looks like Marvel-themed Overwatch, but you can get skins for free or pay for them. I'm good. As much as I loved Overwatch back in the day, I really didn't. I just liked Widowmaker. I didn't main Widowmaker. Don't get me wrong, a game having Psylocke and Sue Storm and Venom is tempting, but no, I will resist those urges. It got to a point where I distanced myself from games like this, and I felt free. I had felt the most enjoyment out of games that I've had since my first time playing like Mario Galaxy or Castle Crashers for the first time. And I've even experienced so many new games and even old ones for the first time. Even getting into genres I never really dabbled in before, like JRPGs. I played Metaphor for a few hours, and so far, I'm hooked. The story is fantastic. Please go give this game a try if you haven't. But as I was editing this video and getting footage for it, I found myself playing Halo Master Chief Collection and Titanfall 2, and I found myself having fun. I wasn't playing with anybody, I was just enjoying the game by myself, and I was getting mopped up on Halo, I'll be honest. And it really had me wondering what it really was that made these games enjoyable and not the other ones. It could either be down to moderation, or just these games offering something the other games just really don't. Titanfall 2 is an experience that I genuinely can't find anywhere else. The closest thing I have is Black Ops 3 and Infinite Warfare, and I find more lobbies on Titanfall 2. Honestly, my only issue with Halo and Titanfall 2 is the servers constantly dying on me. But even then, I can't even play these games for long periods of time either. At most, maybe an hour or two every couple of weeks. Even though I love these games, my brain just says no, turn it off. Another thing to me is that I've come to realize how much time I've wasted on these games. Time that I could have spent doing anything else. Whether going outside, playing a good single-player experience, or anything really. And don't get me wrong, I love a good time waster like Bloons Tower Defense 6 and Balatro, some of my most played games in 2024. But with those, I can also do other things at the same time without being inconvenienced. Like, I can go watch Superbad. Never mind, I took it off Netflix again. But I can go watch something and play that on the side just so my hand doesn't fall asleep. It's great. But the real culprit to this is that I have a skill issue. I used to be so good at these games, and no one will believe me because my reaction time when I play anything but Titanfall 2 has plummeted since 2022. Sometimes I'm decent, but if I ever streamed, you'd be seeing me miss shots that were once physically impossible. I can manage to miss shots on an AFK player, don't underestimate me. I went on Halo Master Chief Collection thinking I was hot shit on keyboard and mouse, just to get my ass handed to me in Halo 2. Is this how the middle-aged balding dudes feel when they play Halo Infinite? Okay, I did not expect to have this much to talk about on the topic, so let's wrap it up, alright Jeff Keighley? While my loss of interest in the competitive PvP multiplayer games may be due to a burnout, it doesn't necessarily mean I dislike these kinds of games, except for these three, but who doesn't at this point? These are the three games that, out of any multiplayer games, I do give up on and don't plan on returning to. Battlefield, I might. Halo, of course. But Call of Duty, Apex, Fortnite, these are not games I want to return to, as they don't really offer what I want, and I'm not going to force myself to endure that. On top of that, it really does make it harder on me as a creator anyways, because not only am I not enjoying the games I play, but also not having anything to talk about, not having anything to share. Like sure, I could make a weekly rant about Fortnite or Apex being terrible, but I'm not a boring bum. I like having fun on my channel. I want to talk about games that I like, or at the very least have an interesting conversation about the games that I don't. In the end, I'd rather just accept that these games aren't for me anymore, and instead of forcing myself to play it and hate on it when instead I could just leave, I'm just gonna do that. That's not to say I can't and won't criticize them, because if we're being honest, these 3 games right here deserve almost all of the criticism they've received over the years. But that's where my yap session ends. Let me know what you think. I kind of want to do more stuff like this, where I just talk about something a little more personal when it comes to gaming, or even outside of gaming, as I do have an idea of what I want to talk about, but I'll save it for later. Like the video, subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, good. Now goodbye.